A leaked report surfaced online, listing past donors and their details. Her heart pounded as she scrolled through the names. Then she saw it. Donor number 4782, Jide Adedayo. Her breath caught. The description matched her husband's exact physical feature and blood type. The sun was blazing over the busy streets of Lagos as two young boys weaved their way through traffic, balancing trays of pure water on their heads. Pure water, buy your cold pure water. They shouted together as their voices cracked from a long day under the scorching heat. Kunle and Jide have been friends as long as they could remember. They grew up in the same Face Me I Face You compound in Ajegunle, sharing not just their childhood but also their struggles. Life has never been kind to them. Kunle lost his parents to a ghastly accident when he was just 6. His uncle took him in but treated him like a slave. Jide, on the other hand, had a mother, Mama Jide, who worked as a cleaner in a local school. But her tiny salary was never enough to feed both of them. Every morning, before heading to school, they hawked pure water and groundnuts to earn a little money. After school, they would run errands for people, washing cars, carrying heavy bags for market women, and sometimes even polishing shoes by the roadside. But despite their hardship, they held on to their dreams. Kunle wanted to become an engineer, while Jide dreamed of becoming a big businessman. At night, they sat under the dim street lights, struggling to read their tattered school books. Their bodies ached from the day's work, but they never gave up. One particular evening, Jide returned home to find his mother lying in her tin mattress, coughing uncontrollably. "Mama, what is it?" He knelt beside her, his eyes filled with fear. "I'm fine, my son," she whispered, but her voice was weak. She wasn't fine. Days passed and her condition worsened. Jide did everything he could, fetching herbal drinks from old women, begging neighbors for help, but the sickness refused to leave her frail body. One night, her breathing became labored. "Mama, let's go to the hospital," Jide pleaded, tears streaming down his face. She hesitated, but eventually they made their way to a nearby private hospital. The doctor examined her and wrote some prescriptions. "She needs immediate treatment," the doctor said. Jide's heart lifted. "Thank you, sir. Please start now." The doctor's expression darkened. "Are you paying with cash now?" Jide hesitated. "Doctor, I don't have money now, but I swear I will. I'm sorry, but no treatment without payment." "Doctor, please," Jide begged, holding his mother's trembling hand. "She's dying." "No money, no treatment," the doctor said coldly before walking away. That night, Jide watched as his mother gasped for breath and finally stilled. She was gone. Jide let out a heart-wrenching scream, shaking her lifeless body. Kunle found him the next morning, curled beside his mother's corpse, his eyes swollen from crying. They let her die, Kunle. They let her die because of money. That day, something inside Jide changed. "I will never be poor again," he vowed, his fists clenched. "I will do whatever it takes to be rich." With his mother gone, Jide worked even harder. He and Kunle juggled hawking with school, but the hunger and exhaustion took their toll. After years of struggle, they finally gained admission into the University of Lagos. But university life came with a new kind of hardship. Money for school fees, textbooks, accommodation, and feeding was hard to come by. One afternoon, Jide collapsed in the middle of the market. Jide, Jide, wake up, Kunle shouted, shaking him. Someone suggested that they take him to a nearby hospital. After a brief checkup, the nurse said, "He is weak from malnutrition and exhaustion. Please try and be eating well and make time to rest also," the nurse advised as she wrote them a prescription. As they were leaving, Jide overheard two young men talking. "Guy, I don't donate blood 3 times this month." One said, "The money is not bad, sha. Hospital they pay well." Jide's ears perked up. Kunle noticed. "Jide, I know what you are thinking. Don't even. We need the money," Jide interrupted. "If selling my blood will give me money, then I will." The next day, they visited a private hospital and signed up as donors. To survive, they started donating blood at private hospitals in exchange for money. It was painful and exhausting, but it paid some of their bills. "Jide, are you sure this is safe?" Kunle asked one evening as they walked out of a hospital after another round of blood donation. "What choice do we have?" Jide replied. "We need the money. I have no one to send me money." Kunle sighed and nodded. They continued the practice for months, donating blood every couple of weeks. At first, it seemed like a good idea, but the process was exhausting. Jide fainted after donating twice in 1 week. Kunle panicked. "Jide, we have to stop this." Jide wiped his sweaty face. "We can't stop. We need the money." The process became unhealthy, and Kunle was no longer participating as usual. One day, while waiting at the hospital, they overheard a conversation between two men. "Forget blood donation," one of them said, laughing. "Sperm donation is the real deal. They pay good money at His Grace Memorial Hospital." Kunle and Jide looked at each other in shock. "Sperm bank?" Jide whispered. "Yes, rich couple who can't have children come to buy sperm from donors." The other man continued. "If your sperm meets their criteria, they pay heavily." That night, Jide could not sleep. "Kunle, do you think we should try it?" Kunle sat up. "No way. Selling blood is one thing, but donating sperm, that's a different matter." "But we need the money," Jide insisted. "This is easier than selling blood, and the pay is better." Kunle shook his head. "Jide, we have to draw the line somewhere. I can't do it. I'll find other ways to survive." Jide sighed and turned away, but his mind was made up. The next morning, while Kunle was searching for part-time jobs on campus, Jide made his way to His Grace Memorial Hospital. The sperm bank process was easier than he thought. After a few tests, he was accepted as a donor. Every few days, he would visit the hospital and donate. The money kept flowing in. At first, he kept it a secret from Kunle, but soon Kunle noticed that Jide was suddenly dressing well and eating good food. "Jide, where are you getting all this money from?" Kunle asked one evening. Jide replied, "I got a side hustle." Kunle frowned. "I hope you are not donating your sperm." Jide smirked. "What's wrong with that? The hospital is making millions from it, and I'm just getting my share." Kunle sighed. "Jide, you don't know where those sperms go. What if you have children all over the place without knowing?" Jide laughed. "So what? it's not my problem. I need the money and this is my way of making it. Kunle shook his head but said nothing more. He had done his part of warning his friend. Years passed. Kunle graduated and started working as an engineer. He struggled, but he remained honest. Jide, on the other hand, had become a businessman, dressing in expensive clothes and driving flashy cars. One day, Jide met a very beautiful woman named Adesua. She was the daughter of a wealthy businessman named Chief Williams. Adesua fell in love with Jide, and in less than a year, they got married in a grand wedding ceremony. As a wedding gift, Chief Williams made Jide the general manager of one of his companies. Jide had finally arrived. He lived in a mansion, drove luxury cars, and attended elite social events. But there was one thing Adesua did not know: Jide's past as a sperm donor. A couple of years later, Kunle married Morenike, a simple, beautiful woman who supported him through tough times. They had 3 children and lived modestly but happily. For years, Jide and Adesua lived happily with their 2 children and a perfect life until Adesua stumbled upon an article about sperm donation. One evening, out of curiosity, she searched for his Grace Memorial Hospital donor record. A leaked report surfaced online, listing past donors and their details. Her heart pounded as she scrolled through the names. Then she saw it. Donor number 4782, Jide Adedayo. Her breath caught. The description matched her husband's exact physical feature and blood type. Her hands trembled. That night when Jide came home, Adesua was waiting for him. "Jide," she said, her voice cold, "did you ever donate sperm at his Grace Memorial Hospital?" Jide's face paled. "Why are you asking? Answer me." He exhaled. "Yes, but it was a long time ago. I needed money." Tears welled in her eyes. "Do you know how many children you have out there?" "It doesn't matter, Adesua. It was before I met you." "But it does matter. What if our own children unknowingly married their half-siblings?" Jide was speechless and buried his face in his hands. He had never thought of that. Adesua stood up. "I can't stay in this marriage, Jide. You lied to me. You hid something so big from me. I need time to think." Adesua packed her bags and left the house. For 5 weeks, Jide begged and pleaded before she finally forgave him. But the foundation of their marriage was cracked. Jide promised to change and not to bring shame to her name. But this was the beginning of their problem. One day, Kunle's son took ill mysteriously. When he was rushed to the hospital, the doctor said that they needed to operate on him as soon as possible. Kunle did not have the money they requested, but he and Morenike were able to come up with 70% of the money. But the hospital refused to commence surgery until he deposits at least 90% of the fee. Kunle had no choice than to turn to Jide for help. He had been avoiding Jide because of how proud he had become. Jide began to look down on him because of his financial capacity and the type of family he married from. Kunle had to put everything aside because he was desperate to save his son. "Jide, my son is sick. I need money for surgery. Please help us. You are the only one I can turn to." Jide scoffed. Go and sell sperm like I did. The sperm bank is still open. In a week, you will be able to come up with the money. Please, Jide, you know I can't do that. I am a married man. I have principles that I abide with, and I cannot disrespect my wife that way. Even if I was to do it, I do not have that time. I promise to pay you back with interest, Jide. Please, Kunle begged. So I'm the one who does not have principles. I'm wayward and disrespectful, right? Jide said angrily. No, that's not what I meant. Before Kunle could say anything, Jide left him behind without offering any help. Kunle was heartbroken. He had to take a risky loan, which approval was delayed. But the surgery came too late. His son died. Kunle and his wife were devastated. They buried their son amidst tears and mourned him for the longest time. After years of struggle, fortune finally smiled on them. Kunle landed a major engineering contract that changed his life. When the deal was concluded, he became one of the most respected engineers in Lagos. Jide had everything a man could dream of: a beautiful wife, a thriving business, and an elite social status. But as his wealth grew, so did his pride. The man Adesua had fallen in love with was slowly transforming into someone else. He craved more power, more luxury, and unfortunately, more women. It all started subtly. At first, it was harmless flirtation at business events. Then, it turned into secret meetings, expensive gifts, and whispered promises. The most dangerous of them all was Tiwa, a young, ambitious college student who caught Jide's attention at a charity event he sponsored. Tiwa was different from the other women. She was intelligent, confident, and had a striking resemblance to someone Jide couldn't quite place. She was interning at one of his companies, and their professional meetings slowly turned into personal conversations. "Sir, I really admire your success story," she had said one evening after a meeting. "You built an empire from nothing. That's inspiring." Jide chuckled, sipping his whiskey. "Success comes with sacrifices. Tiwa, you will understand when you get older." "But you don't look like someone who has suffered much," she teased. That was how it began. Playful banter, late night calls, and soon Jide found himself drawn to her in a way he couldn't explain. He started spoiling her with gifts. A designer bag here, an expensive watch there. But when Tiwa jokingly mentioned that she had never been on a vacation before, Jide took things a step further. Jide arranged a weekend getaway to Dubai under the guise of business trip. Tiwa had never experienced such luxury. Private jets, five-star hotels, and shopping sprees that could make anyone dizzy. "This feels like a dream," she whispered one night as she stood on the hotel balcony overlooking the city. Jide pulled her closer, smirking. "With me, dreams become reality." From then on, their affair became a well-orchestrated secret. He would fly her to exotic destinations under the pretense of business trips. He booked the most exclusive resorts, ensuring that they were always discreet. He showered her with expensive gifts and paid for her tuition. But no matter how careful he was, Adesua began to notice the changes. At first, she dismissed the late night meetings an unexplained transaction as part of Jide's growing business empire. But then, the signs became too obvious to ignore. His sudden obsession with his appearance, the secretive phone calls, the expensive gifts charged to their account. One evening, while Jide was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Adesua glanced at the screen. "I miss you already. Last night was amazing." Her heart pounded. She picked up the phone and saw multiple messages from the same number. The truth was staring at her in the face. The next day, she hired a private investigator. Within weeks, she had all the proof she needed. Pictures of Jide and Tiwa at exclusive resorts, bank statements showing lottery purchases, and even flight records. One evening, Jide walked into the living room to find Adesua sitting calmly, a folder on her lap. "Jide," she said in a controlled voice, "who is Tiwa?" Jide's body tensed. "She's just a staff member. Why do you ask?" Adesua smiled bitterly and slid the folder across the table. Then explained these. Jide flipped through the pages. Pictures of him and Tiwa, hotel receipts, travel documents. His face paled. "Adesua, I can explain." "No need," she cut in. "I've seen enough. I trusted you, Jide. I believed in our marriage. But you threw it all away for a girl half your age." "Adesua, please." She stood up, tears brimming in her eyes. "I'm done, Jide. I want a divorce." Jide dropped to his knees. "Please, Adesua, I love you. I'll end it, I swear." But the damage was done. A few weeks later, Adesua filed for divorce. The news spread like wildfire, tarnishing Jide's reputation in high society. But the worst was yet to come. As if fate had a cruel sense of irony, Tiwa soon discovered a truth that shattered her world. One day, while going through some old documents at home, she found a file from the fertility clinic her mother had visited years ago. Curiosity got the best of her, and she decided to find out who her father was. Suspecting that her biological father was someone she had never met. When the report came in, she nearly collapsed. Jide, the man she had trusted, the man she had been with. Her hands shook as she dialed his number. When he answered, she could barely speak. "Jide," her voice cracked. "Tell me it's not true." "What are you talking about?" "I did an investigation," she whispered. "You are my biological father." Silence. Jide's phone slipped from his hands. His mind raced. "No, that's not possible," he stammered. But deep down, he knew. Jide felt ashamed and disgusted. He couldn't find the courage to console Tiwa, his lover, who was actually his daughter. Jide locked himself in his office for days, drowning in whiskey and regret. The empire he built, the wealth he had accumulated, none of it mattered anymore. He had lost everything. Adesua was gone. His reputation was in ruins. And worst of all, he had unknowingly hurt his daughter in an unimaginable way. For the first time in his life, Jide realized that money could not fix everything. He stared at his reflection in the mirror, a broken man trapped in the consequences of his own choices. He had vowed to make money at all costs, but he never imagined the cost would be his soul. Unable to accept the reality of being intimate with her father, Tiwa took her own life after sharing a post about her greatest mistake on her Facebook page. Just like wind, the post circulated around the internet. The next morning, the internet exploded. Unbelievable! Young woman takes her life after DNA reveals shocking truth about her father, Jide Adedayo. Illicit affair ends in tragedy. A father unknowingly romances his daughter. Adesua Williams' ex-husband caught in a genetic scandal. The headlines were relentless. Within hours, Tiwa's story was everywhere. News channels, blogs, and social media. People dug into Jide's past, uncovering the sperm donation records that had remained buried for years. It was no longer a private scandal. It was a national disgrace. Jide barely had time to process what had happened before the call started flooding in. His phone rang. It was the board of directors. Jide, we need to talk now. He arrived at his company's headquarters to find the boardroom packed. The directors sat stiffly, their expression grave. Jide, the chairman began, his voice cold. This scandal is beyond repair. Our investors are pulling out. Our stock value had dropped overnight. The media is having a feed day. Jide ran a hand over his face. I can fix this. Give me time. There is no fixing this, another director cut in. You are toxic to this company. Effective immediately, you are being removed as CEO. Jide was shocked. You can't do this. I built this company from scratch. And now you've destroyed it, the chairman said simply. Security will escort you out. As Jide was led out of the building, reporters swarmed him. Mr. Adedayo, do you have anything to say about Tiwa's death? Did you know that she was your daughter? What did you have to say about the leak records? Jide pushed past them, but the damage was done. His name was forever tarnished. Jide returned home, but it no longer felt like home. The mansion was too big, too empty. Adesua was gone, his wife, his uncle. His company was gone, his empire. And worst of all, Tiwa was gone. Guilt wrapped around his chest like chains, suffocating him. He stopped eating, he stopped sleeping. The whiskey bottles piled up. He barely left his room. The voices in his head wouldn't stop. I did a DNA test. You are my biological father. I trusted you, Jide. Some truths are too painful to bear. Goodbye. One evening, he stared at the ceiling. Was this what he had worked for? He had vowed to make money at all costs, to be rich, powerful, untouchable, but at what price? His best friend Kunle was living a quiet, successful life with his family. His wife had left him, his children scattered across the world, wanting nothing to do with him. And Tiwa was gone because of him. Jide collapsed on the floor, his body shaking with silent sobs. For the first time in his life, he realized money meant nothing. And now it was too late to change anything. When Kole heard about Jide's downfall, he was shocked. Jide did what? He whispered, gripping his phone. The details of the scandal made his stomach turn. He rushed to Jide's house, only to find him in a terrible state. Drunk, unshaven, and barely responsive. Jide, look at yourself, Kunle said disgusted. Is this what all the money was for? Jide chuckled bitterly. I won, Kule. I got rich. I had power and now I have nothing. Kunle clenched his fist. I warned you. I told you not to play with people's lives. You refused to help me when I needed you. You told me to sell my sperm like you did, and now look at you. Jide let out a hollow laugh. You are right. I should have listened, but it's too late now. Kunle sighed, shaking his head. I pity you, Jide, but I can't save you from this. No one can. Kunle left, and for the second time, Jide realized he had spent his entire life chasing money, yet he had lost everything that truly mattered. His best friend, his wife, his child, and worst of all, his soul. This is the end of this story. The story teaches that money is not everything. Jide chased wealth at all costs, but in the end, he lost everything that truly mattered. His family, his reputation, and his happiness. Our choices have consequences, and taking shortcuts can lead to disaster. Unlike Jide, Kunle chose the honest path and found lasting success. Secondly, pride and arrogance can destroy a person. Jide thought he was untouchable, but his pride led to his downfall. Family, love, and integrity are far more valuable than wealth. Betrayal and dishonesty will always come back to haunt us. In life, true success is not measured by money, but by the relationship we build and the legacy we leave behind. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it and you want more thrilling and emotional content like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button if this story touched you and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Your support keeps this channel going, and I promise you, the best is yet to come. Subscribe now and be part of this amazing community. Until next time, bye.